Hare Krishna everyone, we're continuing to read The Science of Self-Realization, the book by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Prabhupada, Chapter 7, Exploring the Spiritual Frontier, and this section is called Build Your Nation on the Spiritual Platform. Introduction. Asked to speak at the University of Nairobi in September 1972, Srila Prabhupada addressed an overflow crowd of students and government officials at the campus's Taifla Independence Hall. In his lecture, he advised citizens of the developing nation of Kenya. So the address. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for kindly coming here to participate in this meeting for spreading Krishna consciousness. The Krishna consciousness movement is trying to bring human society to the point where everyone's life can become successful. The subject today is the real meaning of human life. We are trying to instruct the entire world about this meaning. Human life is attained after many millions of years of evolution. We should remember that there are 8,400,000 species of life, according to the Padma Purana. Life began with the aquatics, for we can understand from Vedic literature that at the beginning of creation, the entire planet was merged in water. This material world is composed of 5 gross elements: earth, water, fire, air, and ether. Besides these, there are 3 subtle elements: mind, intelligence, and false ego. Behind these curtains is the spirit soul, which is covered by these 8 elements. This information is given in the Bhagavad Gita. Human beings are not the only living entities to have a spirit soul. We are all spirit souls: beasts, birds, reptiles, insects, trees, plants, aquatics, and so on. The spirit soul is simply covered by different dresses, just as some of you are dressed in white clothes, some in green, some in red, etc. But we are not concerned with the dress. We are concerned with you as spirit soul. Thus, it is said in the Bhagavad Gita 5.18, Vidya vinaya sampanne brahmane gavi hastini Shuni chaiva shvapakecha pandita samadarshana. Quote, the humble sage, by virtue of true knowledge, sees with equal vision a learned and gentle brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog-eater. Unquote. The sage does not make any distinction on the basis of color, intelligence, or species. He sees every living entity as a small particle of spirit soul. It is stated, Keshagra shata bhagasya shatam shah sadrishatmakaha jiva sukshma svarupoyam sankyatito hi chitkana. Quote, there are innumerable particles of spiritual atoms which are measured as 1/10,000th of the upper portion of a hair, unquote. Because we have no instrument to measure the dimensions of the spirit soul, the small particle of spirit soul is measured in this way. In other words, the soul is so small that it is smaller than an atom. That small particle is within you, within me, within the elephant, within gigantic animals, in all man, in the ant, in the tree, everywhere. However, scientific knowledge cannot estimate the dimensions of the soul, nor can a doctor locate the soul within the body. Consequently, material scientists conclude that there is no soul, but that is not a fact. There is a soul. The presence of the soul makes a difference between a living body and a dead body. As soon as the soul departs from the body dies. It has no value. However great a scientist or a philosopher one may be, he must admit that as soon as the soul departs from the body dies. It then has no value and has to be thrown away. We should try to understand this. The soul is valuable, not the body. The fact that the soul is transmigrating is explained in the Bhagavad Gita 2.22. Vasamsi jirnani yatha vihaya, vasamsi jirnani yatha vihaya, navani grinati naroparani, tatha sharirani vihaya jirnani, anyani samyati navani dehi. Quote, as a person puts on new garments, giving up old ones, similarly, the soul accepts new material bodies, giving up the old and useless ones. Unquote. When a suit becomes old, we give it up and accept another suit. Similarly, the soul is changing dresses according to desire. Because the soul is part and parcel of God, it has godly qualities. God is the supreme will, the supreme power, the supreme independent one, and we, being part and parcel of Him, have all these qualities in minute quantity. We have willing, thinking, feeling, and desiring. In the Vedas, it is stated that God is the supreme living force among all living forces. Chetanash-chetananam. He is also supplying the necessities of all living entities. We, living entities, are innumerable. There is no limit to our number. God, however, is one. He is also living, as we are, but we are minute particles of that living force. For example, a particle of gold is the same in quality as a gold mine. If we chemically analyze the ingredients of a small drop of water, we will find all of the ingredients that are to be found in the vast ocean. In a similar way, we are one with God, being His part and parcel. This godly particle, the soul, or the living force, is transmigrating from aquatics to trees and plants, and then from trees and plants to insect life, then to reptile life, then to the bodies of birds and beasts. Darwin's theory of evolution is but a partial explanation of the transmigration of the soul. Darwin has simply taken information from Vedic literature, but he has no conception of the soul. The difference is that the soul is transmigrating from aquatic life to plants and trees, then to insect life, then to bird life, then animal life, then human life. And within human life, he moves from uncivilized life to civilized life, etc. The civilized life of a human being represents the culmination of evolution. Here's a junction. From this point, we can again slide down into the cyclic process of evolution, or we can elevate ourselves to a godly life. The choice is up to us. This is indicated in the Bhagavad Gita. This human form of life actually means developed consciousness. Therefore, we should not waste our lives like cats, dogs, and hogs. That is the injunction. Although this body is perishable, like a dog's or cat's body, it is different in that one can attain the highest perfection in this life. We are part and parcel of God, but somehow or other we have fallen into this material existence. Now we have to evolve in such a way that we can go back home, back to Godhead. That is the highest perfection. There is actually another world, a spiritual world. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita 8.20, Parastasmat tu bhavunyo vyakto vyaktat sanatanaha yasa sarveshu bhuteshu nashyatsu na vinashyati. Quote, yet there is another nature, which is eternal and is transcendental to this manifested and unmanifested matter. It is supreme and is never annihilated. When all in this world is annihilated, that part remains as it is. In this material world, everything is created, it stays for some time, produces some byproducts, dwindles, and finally vanishes. Our bodies are created at a certain moment by sexual intercourse. The semen of the father emulsifies and takes a pea form, and the living entity, a soul, or the soul, takes shelter in that form. And because it takes shelter, it develops hands, legs, eyes, etc. This development is complete in the 7th month, and in the 9th month, the human being comes out of the womb. It is because the soul is present that the child develops. If the soul is not present, there is no development, and the child is born dead. We can take this dead body and preserve it in chemicals, but it will not develop. Development means change of body. All of us have had baby bodies, but those bodies are no longer existing. The body of a baby develops into the body of a child, and that body develops into the body of a boy, and that boy body develops into a youth's body, which eventually turns into an old man's body. Finally, the body completely vanishes. The whole cosmic manifestation, the gigantic form of this material world, is also working according to this same process. It is created at a certain point, it develops, it is maintained, and at a certain stage it is dissolved. That is the nature of the material world. It is manifest at a certain interval, and again it vanishes. Bhutva bhutva pralayate. Bhutva bhutva praliyate. Bhagavad Gita 8.19. The word bhava means nature. There is another nature, which never dissolves, which is eternal. As jivas, spirit souls, we are also eternal. We shall stop here for today. Continue tomorrow. Sorry, I'm a little bit sick, so making a few mistakes. Jai, thank you so much for tuning in today. The link to this book is in the description. Please check out our website shravanamdiaries.com, and we shall see you tomorrow. Hare Krishna.